Hi guys, welcome back to a new video. In this video we are going to learn how to create a simple book flipping animation in After Effects. In this video we'll be using only the After Effects tools and effects inside After Effects. Will not be using any plugins or anything like that. So this is what we are going to make. We are going to make a simple book flipping animation like this. So we'll start with making a composition first. We'll just create new composition and we'll set 1920 into 1080 and we'll press OK, and we'll create a new solid for the background and we'll select a color and we'll name it as BG and we'll press OK, and we'll just lock this so we'll not be like moving it around or anything like that. After that we have to create a page for our book. So we'll go to right click, new composition, we'll name it as back page, and the width will be 400 and the height will be 600 pixels, and we'll keep everything else the same. Sorry, forgot to add one more zero. So this is going to be a back page, and we'll create a solid with a different color so it will be visible properly. Okay, once that is done, we can go to our main comp and we'll just drag this back page onto our composition so it's visible like this. This is our back page. After that, the next thing is we'll go to the pan behind tool and we'll just align this port point to this left side. So if you want it to be snapping, you can just press Ctrl on the keyboard and it will snap to that particular point. So you can do this to any of this angle, any of these areas. When you are actually using Ctrl, it will automatically snap to that wherever you are snapping it to, or whichever that point is closest to, it will automatically snap there. So after that we have to align it to the center. So we'll just select the back page and we'll press P on the keyboard and we'll just type in 960 into 540. So after doing that, it will be like aligned to the dead center. The next thing is we'll just turn that into a 3D layer, and then after that we'll just duplicate this in the timeline. Okay, so in the main comp, now we have one comp called back page. So we'll have to create a front page as well. So we'll just type in, we'll just make a duplicate and we'll just type in front page, and we are actually selecting the duplicate we made in the timeline, and while holding Alt, we'll just drag and drop this new composition which named front page, and we'll just drop it onto this duplicate so it will be replaced by that one now. After that, we'll just select rotate value for this particular layer, and in the Y rotation we'll just type in 180. So it's actually rotated to the opposite side. So now we have actually have a front page as well as a back page. So next thing is we have to animate this page. So we'll just move to 1 second duration, and we'll just add a keyframe for this Y rotation, and we'll come back to this 0 frame, and then we'll just change the value to 0. And if you just click the animation, you can see it's actually, the book is actually opening. So if you are actually having trouble in like animating, or if you are having some trouble in playing with the playback and all, what you can do is you can just reduce this quality to maybe third or something like that, and then you can actually enable draft 3D. So it'll, since we are actually like playing with these 3D options and all, when you enable draft 3D, it will be much easier on your PC, and you will be able to get a much better feedback from the animation. So this is our actually initial animation, and if you play it, you can see it's looking like a book is like opening, but it doesn't have any life. So what you can do is, if you look at your composition window, like bottom of your composition window, there will be a space called, either it will be cinema 4D, most likely it will be classic 3D. There, if you are actually selecting classic 3D, make sure you are changing it to cinema 4D. After that, if you go to this front page, this geometry option, you will be seeing an option called curvature. And if you just change the values, you can see it's actually making some changes to our paper. It's actually adding some curvature to our paper. But the problem is, since we are actually right now we are actually just have some flat colors, we are not able to see the actual result. So in order to see the actual result, how this effect is actually making the changes in our paper, we need to have a light source. So we have some shadows and some dark and light areas, so we'll be able to see everything properly. So in order to do that, we have to create a new light. So we'll just go back to our timeline and we'll right click and go to new, and we'll just select light. And in here, first we'll select spotlight. We'll just select a point light, and we'll put maybe intensity something around 50. And straight away when you create a light and press OK, we can see it's actually already affecting our papers. And some areas are darker, some areas are more brighter, and things like that. And if you want to have like more intensity or something like that, you can always increase that and play with that values, and you will be able to see some result. After that, once you find a proper value for that, and we'll be turning off the fall off will be just keeping it as none only. We don't need any fall off or anything like that. We'll just cast shadows, we'll just turn it on, so we will have some shadows for our papers as well. Everything else will just keep the same for now. And the next thing is, for the front page, we'll just go back to material option, and here we will just enable cast shadows option. And when you start enabling things, you'll be able to see some differences here and there when you are actually animating things. And you can see it's already having some shadow and light effects on that, but we are not able to see any shadows or anything on our background. The reason for that is we haven't enabled 3D for our background, and in order to see the shadow for on our background, we just have to enable 3D on that background, and straight away we'll be seeing some changes on the background itself. So this is our page for the time being, but the problem is, like, when it's actually turning, we are actually seeing a lot of darker colors. So we need a second light source which can affect the entire scene. At the same time, we need some light source that it will not be darker everywhere. So we'll just create a new light. This time we'll just select ambient light, and we'll just turn the intensity to maybe 30 or something like that. Everything else will just keep it as it is, and we'll press OK. And once you create that, you can see it's already lit up the entire scene, and you can just play with that intensity once more, like however you want. And straight away you can see this is our actually book is our scene is looking much better compared to what we had before. And you can adjust the position values of this light as well. If you think you can actually position it in a better place, you can do that as well. Okay, so this is our animation for the time being. And if you disable draft 3D, you'll be able to see the shadow clearly. and since we were not seeing that because we enabled draft 3D, and when you disable that option, you'll be seeing that exact shadow, everything. And if you want to adjust the light according to the shadow, you can just enable that option and you can start adjusting the light according to that. And and after that you can just adjust that fall of distance, and how the shadow will be, how how the diffusion, and if you want it more sharper or something like that, you can do all that later on. So we'll just disable that, enable that draft 3D option. So this is our animation for the time being. The next thing is, we'll just select our animation, and we'll just select both of the keyframes, and we'll just press F9, and we'll just add a bit sharper ease to our animation. And if you play it, you can see we have a much better animation compared to before. But still we haven't added the curvature effect we actually looked earlier, so we'll be doing that now. So in the beginning, at the 0 point, we'll just go to geometry option, and we'll add a keyframe for this curvature, and we'll just do the same at the last keyframe as well. This time the value is 0, and after that, in the maybe after a few frames, maybe 5 or 6 frames, we'll just add a value of maybe 30, minus 30 or 35, something like that. So we already have a curve, so you can see it's actually curving from 0 to 30, and before it reaches the exact dead center, we'll just something like that, and we'll just add a value of maybe minus 75 or 80, something like that. So we have a much better curve. So we can see it's actually curving a bit better, and when it's reaches dead center, we'll just change this value to 75, so the page is looking exactly opposite. Maybe not the dead center, we'll just move few more frames and we'll just add that. So we have that, and then the same thing we'll do here also. A 6 frame difference, will just here we'll add the value of 30, and it will be going back to 0. And if you play this animation now, you can see compared to before, we have a much better animation. And you can just play with these values right now. You can see when you play this exact dead center, you will be seeing some differences here and there. You can just play with these values, and you can just move around these keyframes to get much better result. That's according to you and how you want that values and effects to be. So this is actually how we actually make that book page flipping animation. And you can see here we are actually not getting better result, so you can just adjust by adjusting these keyframes here and there, and playing with these values, so you might get a better result compared to this. And after, once you get a perfect result, what you are actually looking for, we can move on to the next part of our animation. So this is our animation for the time being. Will not be adding any ease for this curvature animation, we'll just leave it as it is. The next thing is, we have to have pages inside as well. What we'll do is, once this page is actually opening, maybe like that till there, the next thing is, we'll just make a duplicate of this front page, and we'll just move it till here, and we'll just give a different label color so we can identify that particular composition later on. And in the project window as well, we'll just make a duplicate of this front page, and we'll name it as page 1, and we'll just press Alt on the keyboard and replace that with the one the duplicate in our. So now you can see our animation is happening. We have a second page turning, and for the second page we'll go to the position value, and in the C axis we'll just type in -0.1. So what happens is we want that page to be a bit front compared to the other pages, like our front and back page. So right now the background, the front page and the back page, they are actually all on the same level. We want this next page to be a bit higher than that level, so will be, when we adding shadows and things like that, we have a better result, and will not be getting any crossover or any kind of weird effects or anything like that. So you can adjust this position of these layers, and you can play with that values as well, like I said before. And the one thing is, we'll just go back inside this new composition, and we'll just change the color of this solid so that we can actually differentiate from our front page as well as our back page. So we'll just maybe select a different color, and if you go back to our main comp, we can just see that now we have a second page. So the thing is, you can see it's all of a sudden it's just appearing. So what you can do is, we'll go back to maybe this frame. So this now this time we are not seeing anything in the back, so we'll just move our composition to this frame. So when that first paper is the first page is actually already opening, the second page is already inside there. So and along with that, it's already animating. So this is our front page and our page 1, and we can just repeat the same process again and again and again until we reach that how many pages we want. Until that point, we can just repeat the same process. So this is our book flipping. The next thing is, we'll just experiment with adding some images and things like that our page. So we'll go back inside this front page, and I'll just import some images. For example, I just imported this image, and all these images are actually free images bought from Freepik website. You can just get images like this in Freepik. So we just placed an image here, and you can see straight away we can see the image. And when you are actually flipping, we have the same image on the back side also. So in order to avoid that, we can actually do something else as well. So what we'll do is, when we reach here, so the next frame is actually the back page. So here, from here, what we'll do is, we'll just press Ctrl Shift and D on this front page. So we'll just cut that existing page on that particular point. And what we'll do is, we'll go back to our project window, and among our pre-comps we have a front page, and this one will duplicate, and we'll rename it as front page underscore back. So this is the front page, but it's the back side of that front page, and we'll just replace this particular comp with that duplicate we just created now, and we'll go back to inside this new comp, and we'll just move around that image to a different position, so we have a completely different image. So if you play that now, right now we have this image, and as it flipping, now we have a different image. So we have a front page as well as a back page. You have to select that exact point, so it'll look much more realistic. So if you play that now, we have a front page and back page. So we can just repeat the same process with our rest of our pages as well. And after that, for the back page, we can just put any image we want. Since that page is actually not moving at all, we can just put a particular color or image. I'll just put white color. So this is our final animation, and as you can see, we are actually able to see the book flipping. And like I said before, you can actually play with these values of this curvature animation, and like more time you spend on it, and make small and certain changes in the values and the placement of the keyframes, you will be able to achieve a much better result. And I hope you guys understood all of this process. After that, when you enable back all the 3D effects and the full quality everything, we just have to make sure that all of these compositions are actually enabled, that accepting shadows and things like that. And once you enable all the effects, like accepting shadows for every one of these layers, and that way you will be able to you can just type in shadows, and you can see like everything is enabled or not, and you can see background is not enabled. So once all of that is completed, you can just disable that draft 3D effects, and you can see the final result. Now it's actually previewing. So this is our final animation. So I hope you guys learned something new, new techniques and new things to create and practice in After Effects. And if you have any doubts or any questions or anything, leave your comments in the comment section, and I'll get back on that. And I hope you guys learned something new, and if you like the video, please give a like and share with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.